Watch out for cash money, cause we landed down. Money making is my thing, cause I'm trying to be rich, trying to put away meals. That's why I'm in the studio dropping hits, dropping rap after rap like you sell key after key. Backed up by the best fresh, dropping beat after beat. My clique is the hot boys, especially we so high and dangerous if we ain't beef with the whole block. No fading us at all, player, cause we roll too deep. With AKs off safety, knocking busters off their feet. I go by the name of BG. I ride on chrome and then I ain't like CS3. I'll bust a dome for baby known as B3. Because I know one thing, he'll do the same for me. We family, cash money is the army, better yet a navy. So if you ever play heavy, look here, it ain't gravy. Don't try to knock me, player, cause I'll leave your head stale. Light you up real good, you will never get well. Cash money is the army, better yet a navy. So if you ever play heavy, for you it ain't gravy. Cash money is the army, better yet a navy. So if you ever play heavy, for you it ain't gravy. I got a pass.
My bad. I'm talking to myself. What's going on there, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you all so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. I was actually laughing because I was talking about BG. We was talking about cash money is our army, they got the Navy. So if you ever play Yemen, don't act like it agree. Oh, man. But that's a classic right there. Thank y'all so much for being here. Really do appreciate it, man. Shouts out to everybody that's listening, no matter if you're at work, you're at home, you're on the go, wherever you are. Thank you so much for choosing the State of the Saints podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about former Saints great Drew Brees getting an opportunity to coach. And also, we're going to be talking about Eric McCoy returning back to practice. And what does this mean in the game ahead versus the Atlanta Falcons? But let's go ahead and start with Drew Brees. I'm pretty sure a lot of you already know because, I mean, it's been working his way around. Drew Brees has gotten interim assistant coaching position with his former alma mater, Purdue, as they are taking on the LSU Tigers in the Citrus Bowl. And, of course, we know that Drew Brees has done some coaching, mostly with his kids' flag football team, in the past, and he has taken a lot of pleasure in doing that. The fact that you can actually be out there with your kids as well as coach them. And now he has an opportunity to coach on a collegiate level. Now, this is, from my knowledge, just a one-time thing, just getting these guys prepared. I'm talking to Purdue Boilermakers, prepared for the game versus LSU. But you have to believe, like, if he has an interest in doing this, I can see in a foreseeable future maybe him coaching full-time going forward. Drew Brees is an all-time great. I'm not telling anybody something they don't already know. And I'm pretty sure him being away from the game and not being a part of it in the actual game, he misses it. And he wants to be around it in some capacity. Now, when he retired, he got opportunity to work with NBC, but I don't think that was Drew Brees' calling. I don't think Drew Brees is a commentator, a guy that does commentary. I think that Drew Brees can kind of see things and know what he sees. But I just think that, he can probably use his services to be better by teaching what he can actually see versus just talking about it on television. I think that the issue when it came to Drew Brees was being critical of certain athletes and, modern day NFL talking heads. They got to have that about themselves. You hear about the Rodney Harrisons, you see what they're doing. You see like some of these guys that aren't afraid to be as critical, but Drew Brees, I just don't feel like Drew Brees felt comfortable in that type of environment. I think that Drew Brees, liked to take on a new challenge, which he probably, wanted to do. But I just think that when he realized it wasn't for him. But coaching, I feel like it can be for Drew Brees. I think that Drew Brees can be a future head coach. I think that he can be a future coordinator. I was kind of reluctant because I always just wonder, like, would he be interested in doing this on a collegiate or NFL level? And, I thought that, coaching your son's team is one thing, but actually going out there doing it on a consistent basis with college guys and grown men on the NFL level, I don't know. But, the fact that he actually is going to be taking a part in this, you have to believe that it probably crossed his mind. And, if Drew Brees ends up, liking it, I can see NFL team bringing him on. I can see the New Orleans Saints probably having him within the organization in some capacity in the future. But this is a good thing. I think that a guy that's as knowledgeable as Drew Brees, a guy that has given us so many great moments, and a guy who has been very instrumental with the young quarterbacks that have come through that room, especially during the time when he was hurt. He was right there, helping those guys and talking to them after each drive. So Drew Brees being a coach, as of right now, I think is a good thing. I know that you have a lot of those Purdue Boilermaker football players got to be excited to be coached by such a legendary figure, not only in the NFL, but I mean, talking about the Purdue University as a whole. So I'm excited to see what Drew Brees can do. I'm excited to see if he wants to continue down his path, because if he does, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of people that's going to be willing to give him opportunities to do some things on a coaching level. So looking forward to seeing what Drew Brees is going to be able to do on a coaching level, and seeing where this particular opportunity is going to lead him. But I just think that this is one of those situations where he's probably testing the water, putting your foot in the water, just trying to, kind of read the temperature a little bit to see if this is the direction that you want to go in. I think that once again, Drew wants to be around football, and what better way to be around football for the foreseeable future if you get into coaching after you become a player. Eyes says same as Tony Romo. I guess we're talking about Tony Romo having a knowledge of the game. I absolutely agree. Like, I agree that Tony Romo is one of the best minds in football. I mean, we've all seen how Tony Romo has saw the play before it actually happened. Who the pass was going to go to. I mean, he basically looks like Nostradamus out there. So definitely is one of those guys that's a really good coach in mind. Could be a real good coach in mind, in my opinion. I was in high school when that song came out. Yeah, man, that was a classic right there. BG, Cash Money's on Me from the Chopper City album. That's a classic right there. Still who that coach for Hire Fire DA, still we're up in flames. Yeah, man, I think that I just think that more than likely they probably gonna end up bringing this dude back. It's unfortunate that that might be the case, but hey, man, they feel like we'll see though. We'll see, but it's looking like they're gonna end up retaining him. He could have gotten on Saint staff. Shaking my head. I mean, he still can. I mean, this is just an interim thing. He didn't sign a 2-year or 3-year interim assistant coach job. This is just for a bowl game. He's just going to be there to help these guys get prepared for a bowl game in an assistant coach capacity. So once again, this is not a full-time thing. So there's still opportunity. Like if he wants to do it, I would be hard pressed to believe that the Saints coaching staff wouldn't find something for Drew Brees to do. He could have already read that. Chemo, giving a shout out to him. I've been saying get him as offensive coordinator. Look, I'm not ready to just say give him a offensive coordinator job when you have zero coaching experience. Like, I understand it's Drew Brees, and I get it. Drew Brees is a great quarterback, but great quarterbacking is one thing, coaching is another, right? And I just think that you have to be able to maybe fall into that interim or that assistant role first before somebody actually gives you the reins. I just don't. You have to know, how to, organize and become like offensive coordinator. So you have to learn under somebody. Look, I get it. Once again, Drew Brees is an incredible talent, but coaching is a completely different beast. So I do think that you should bring him in, maybe as an offensive consultant, kind of like with Zach Strief, right? Zach Strief working with Doug Marrone with the offensive line. He's been there going on his second year now. As his role develops, he probably end up being an offensive line coach somewhere first, right? He might end up going in that direction. So it's about getting your feet wet first, learning the ropes, and then, depends on how well you absorb that, you get an opportunity. But I don't think that he should become offensive coordinator off the rip. Not with any type of experience as offensive coordinator. I don't agree with that. But I do feel like if he gets the opportunity to learn alongside offensive coordinator with some experience that's pretty good, and he ends up absorbing it pretty well, I think that he should get an opportunity. But I don't think he should just get an opportunity just for the simple fact that he's Drew Brees. I mean, there's levels to this, even for greats like Drew Brees. I agree. I would him to be a quarterback coach, read defense, watch film, etc. Yeah. I mean, I just think that people, look at Drew Brees as this great figure, almost like this deity, if you will. And they feel like, because he was so knowledgeable, just because he was like smart and cerebral at the quarterback position, that he just automatically should just be a great offensive coordinator, just fall into it like a duck in water. But man, it doesn't always work like that. Like we've seen in years past that, guys that end up being great at a certain position and they go and they get opportunity to coach that particular position, it don't pan out because, talent on the field don't always translate to talent on the sidelines. Some of the best coaches to me are the ones that have been clipboard holders the majority of their careers because they was able to see the ins and outs of the game. They were able to understand the organization of the respective side of the ball. Like, for example, if you're a backup quarterback or something like that, like you were very instrumental at coming up, helping with the game plan, watching film. I just feel like it is a difference between you actually being in the game versus you looking at the game. So that's why I feel like more times than not, guys that are backups end up being better coaches because I guess they had more experience of looking at it and getting mental reps. But I just think that Drew Brees, I'm not saying that he wouldn't be, but I just think that you need to develop you need to develop coaching acumen first before you do that. You got to crawl before you walk. He'll come to the NFL. Yeah. Wasn't Brees spending time at Purdue during spring along with working with his kids? Yeah, I mean, he was up there from time to time, of course, but it wasn't in a coaching capacity. Do anybody know when Purdue plays LSU in the Citrus Bowl? I believe is that a New Year's Eve or a New Year's Day game? I know it's got to be one or the other. I think Drew would be good as a quarterback coach, even OC. It comes down to if Drew wants to get into the recruiting world of college football. Now, I doubt that. I doubt that Drew Brees will want to be, I don't think Drew Brees will want to coach on a collegiate level. I think he'll probably be more comfortable coaching in the NFL. I think that, I think that when you look at it from that particular standpoint, I look at his kids, I look at their age, I look at what, the sacrifices a lot of these collegiate coaches got to make. I mean, NFL coaches, of course, make a lot of sacrifices, but I just think that when it comes to like being on the road, like all the time, trying to recruit some of the top talent in the nation, I just think that he may, want to do it on a NFL level more so than a collegiate level. The way Romo breaks down defensive plays as a commentator, I always said Brees and Romo need to be OCs. Well, yeah, I mean, look, Tony Romo is really good at breaking down all those plays, and I think that he does have a future in that. But I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, you're one of the best color commentators in the game right now. That's his calling. Like, to me, what he's doing right now is going to get him way more money and solidify him way more than just coaching. I mean, and it's less stressful. Like you show up with itinerary, they tell you you're doing a Chiefs game or you're doing a Bills game or what have you. And, you're not away from your family and you're making about $20-25 million a year doing it. So why would you want to why would you leave a cushy job like that when you're actually around the game, talking about the game, to be in a business where it can be very, very stressful? very, very nerve-wracking, and you really don't have to. I can understand if you stink, you know, like I'm just being honest, like Drew Brees did and how Jason Witten did, you know, it'll be one thing, but you know, that's his calling. So why would you want to move away from that? Like that's crazy. Like you're making a whole bunch of money, and I think you're going to be making way more money as a commentator with all these big TV deals coming up. And you, once again, you'll still be around the game. So why would you even jeopardize that? I wouldn't. I just think that some guys, they're just, it's just their destiny to do certain things. I think Tony Romo, I think he found his niche because it seems like, he likes what he does and he's good at it. So that's the best part. We got 135 people watching this right now. I ask that you hit the like button, please. He would make a great head coach at Purdue. I don't know that for sure. And I just think that if you're saying that at this particular point, it's kind of like just an instinct versus like what we actually saw. And it's also a respect level. Like, I don't know how Drew Brees will be as a coach. Just like when people was asking, like, what you think how he'll do as a commentator? I was like, I don't know. And I just said based on his personality, I don't look at it as being a good fit. I was shocked to see that Sean Payton was actually as good as he is as a commentator and as a guy who is being objective and stuff like that. I was shocked for that. But sometimes you can see it and sometimes you can't. I would just have to see Drew Brees in action, and at least for a little while for me to even consider that he would be a good head coach. I mean, I don't know. I think if I was to say that, I would just be saying it because I'm a fan and I love Drew Brees, right? And we want him to be successful at everything. So, yes, Brees, Alma. DA, not dumb. He just don't want to play J-Bo simple. Make no sense, though. Yeah, look, man, I just think that this particular argument is pretty much dead. I get it, man. I get the frustration. I get the anger that people are feeling about Jameis Winston. But man, at this particular point, we're 4 games away from the season being over for the Saints, and this dude ain't playing. So I think that we can just go ahead and just realize that it just didn't work out. And whatever happened this all season, which I'm pretty sure is going to involve Jameis Winston getting an opportunity to test free agency, I hope that everything pans out. But having this argument at this particular point, it doesn't make much sense. Making yourself all stressed out about something that you already know. I think Drew wants to evaluate himself too. I just retired, and he want to know your emotions gonna plan out. Well, look, this is what I think, Lauren. I think that Drew Brees wants to see what he's made out of. Like sometimes, it's okay to test things out and see where you are. Like I think he did television. He realized it wasn't for him. Now he, wants to see if coaching works out for him. I mean, Drew Brees, to me, is a great mind, and I think there is a place for him in coaching. There's always a spot for a guy who is as knowledgeable as he is, even if it don't work out in coaching, and you're able to go around and work alongside young quarterbacks and help them like see certain things and help them with their release and help them with their decision making and helping them identify their reads. There's always going to be a place for Drew Brees doing something that's football related, because I'm pretty sure his phone is always going to be ringing for somebody that wants to be great like he is. So DA is dumb. The Saints need to go get another OC next year. I agree with that. I think it's time for a change. Yes, he went to Purdue, Atlanta 27, New Orleans 19. Tony, I know you're a Falcon fan, but I'm going to be honest with you, man. I don't think there's quite a few Saints fans that wish that you right in this regard, because a lot of Saints fans, they may not say it. I say it. We feel like if DA lose more games than he win down the stretch, then there's a better chance for him to get up out of here. So even though Saints fans despise the Falcons, some of them probably wishing that the Falcons in the back of their mind end up winning a game, because there's one more nail in the DA coffin. So some people might like your school. People need to let him get his feet wet in coaching first. Yeah, I agree. You gotta get yourself established. Landlord, thank you very much for $2. Says, didn't I tell you Drew was a coach? Yeah, you did say he was a coach, you know. But like I said, man, it's not the fact that I mean, look, there's a lot of guys that we feel like could, you know, be coaches and they just don't pan out. I'm one of those people that I don't know. I have to see it before it actually happens, especially when it comes to great players. Like, I just think that sometimes when we see great players, we just think that they automatically just gonna work out as coaches. And that's why I'm always like reluctant with that. Like, I mean, he could be a coach, but will he be an effective one? You know, like, I don't know. I think Drew Brees is smart enough to be able to coach on like certain levels and work his way up. And I think his passion to keep him going, you know, if he gets in the right place and around, you know, the right coordinators and all that kind of stuff. So I think that he can have a future in that. But I have to see it. You know, I have to see it, man. Sometimes, like, just because a guy is great don't mean that it, you know, is going to translate to great coaching. You know, I look at, you know, some of these coaches who tried to become head coaches and, you know, they were great players and it just didn't pan out. You know, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that how much they required of them, like how much they required of themselves to be great. And it frustrates them, like, if a player doesn't try to be great or apply themselves. Like, I think it frustrates them, and I think that's the reason why they kind of don't work out, because there's such a demand for greatness. There's such a demand for greatness, you know, for themselves, and they want that for other people, and maybe the other person may not have that drive or be wired the way they were. Barbara, thank you very much for the $2. Says, what if DA and Jameis Winston are both back next season? Well, that would be a shock to me. That would be a shock if Jameis Winston and Dennis Allen come back. I just think that Jameis Winston wanted to play. As we all know, he felt like he was well enough to play. He came out and said he was well enough to play, and Dennis Allen decided not to do it. Now, if Dennis Allen convinced Jameis Winston that you're not well enough to play, and you know you have to think about your future and all that kind of stuff, then Jameis Winston like took it to heart, then maybe there is a way that you can reconcile. But I doubt if there's a way that you can reconcile this. The fact that you basically told him that he's not going to lose his starting job if he sits down for the next couple of weeks to try to heal up. And you showed that wasn't true. That wasn't genuine what you said. So why would anybody be okay with that, right? So I don't think that you can have one without the other, based on like the way that Jameis said what he said about you know, DA and the decision. Agreed. Matt Patricia in New England had no business being offensive coordinator, just as I said years ago that Cliff Kingsbury had no business being a head coach at Arizona and at Texas Tech in college. Well, Tony, look, all I know is sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like, I know people like, man, you know, I told you this was gonna happen, I told you that was gonna happen, and yeah, it will give you props, but it's not, you know, we don't have this crystal ball and we can't see into the future. You know, we all basically just kind of throwing something against the wall and hoping that it stick. Like, I mean, you didn't know. I mean, you don't know if Cliff Kingsbury was gonna work out or not. I mean, I really didn't know. I mean, it was a good shot. You know, like you see guys like Sean McVay, you see a lot of these young coaches coming in, you know, full of energy, and you know that was the wave for a good little minute. Everybody wanted themselves a Sean McVay, and Cliff Kingsbury kind of fell into that category, you know, of the new wave of the new young coach, right? You know, and he kind of, you know, fell into that category. They hired him and don't look like it's panning out. But I mean, you live and you learn. I mean, who's to say that, you know, guy like Cliff Kingsbury won't go back to the collegiate level and find success? You know, maybe that's just his niche. Maybe that's where he belongs. You know, sometimes it doesn't work on on the NFL level, and it may work on a college level. We've seen great coaches like Nick Saban, seen great coaches like Urban Meyer. It just didn't work out on the NFL level. But when it comes to the collegiate level, they're the GOATs. So maybe that Cliff Kingsbury being in NFL, maybe not what his calling is, but if he goes back, I guarantee you, if Cliff Kingsbury loses his job in Arizona this offseason, he'll find a job somewhere in college. I guarantee his phone is going to be ringing. because everybody wants that offensive, innovative hot shot, and that's what he is. You know, may not be in the NFL, but on the college level, I think he'll find success. The king of Nintendo is in the house. Let's see, TJ, the concern with Drew as a coach would be that many former great players struggle with the patience needed when it comes to teaching and results. The game came so easily to them. Yeah, that's the point that I was trying to make too, Eugene. That's what I was mentioning. Like in years past, I've never really seen a great player become a great coach. I mean, right now, the only person I can compare it to right now is Deion Sanders. Like Deion Sanders is like one of the only like great players that I've seen, like that just like undisputably great, and has found success as a coach. And I don't see that in too many places. Like I've seen, guys like Mike Singletary, who was a great linebacker in his day, very instrumental at the success of the defense for the '85 Bears and all those great defenses they had. But he just didn't translate as a head coach. I mean, there are guys who we feel like because they're so cerebral on the field, we think that can translate into coaching. But it's not just about seeing things. Like if that's the case, then Dennis Allen would be a great coach. Because I mean, we can talk about Dennis Allen all day, but Dennis Allen, when it comes to defense, like he's one of the best defensive minds in NFL right now. Like he's probably, like when it comes to defenses, like he's top 3, like as a coordinator. But I mean, it's one thing, just coaching and focusing on that, but you got to deal with the itinerary. You got to deal with the emotions of these players. Like, these are grown men we talking about. They having babies. They having like issues, what I'm saying, with like relationships, things that they going on behind the scenes. You got to be able to reel them in. You got to get these dudes bought in. You got to come up with a game plan. You got to be able to make adjustments if that game plan that you came up with ain't working at the time. You got to, understand like weather patterns. You got to understand, doing wet ball drills when guys are fumbling. You got to know about the cleats. I mean, you got to understand the ins and outs. And it's not just about coaching that side of the football. Oh, Drew Brees was an offensive mastermind, running plays. So it's just automatically going to have a top 5 offense. Like I can't agree with that, because it's more than just coaching your side of the football that involves head coaching. Once again, if that's the case, then Dennis Allen would be a really good coach, but he's not. So we know how that goes. Why they have Falcon fans in here? LOL, they are still hurting. Well, they are still hurt. Well, Falcon fans show up, and Tony, shouts out to Tony, man. Daniel Tony always been here. Like seriously, Tony has been here like since we first started doing the podcast. So he doesn't just show up during Falcons week. He normally shows up, quite often. So we got love for Tony. I mean, he doesn't make the best decisions. Of course, he's a Falcon fan, but we still love him here, man. Because he show love. So shouts out to Tony. No on Dennis Allen. Yes on Jameis Winston. Mike Singletary, great player, horrible coach. Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't pan out all the time for these guys. I'm going to scroll down a little bit, folks. We're going to go to Billy says, sad to say, but Mike Singletary is a better coach than DA. I don't think that's sad to say. I mean, I think that's kind of true, but they both leave a lot to be desired. I think Mike Singletary, to me, I feel like Mike Singletary probably would have been a better college coach than a professional coach. I just think that his fire and desire would really translate to like the collegiate level if he wanted to. But I just think that he liked to coach on a professional level. Falcons going to squat and take the ish on us. You so right. Well, fine. I feel the same way about you. Great Saints fan, but horrible commentator. Well, that's fair. That's fair. I don't agree with you, but that's fair. Like everybody's entitled to their opinion. Let's see. I think Cliff Kingsbury is a decent coach. I don't like Kyler Murray. I mean, yeah, Kyler Murray, a lot of people feel like he had some growing up to do. question is, would Cliff Kingsbury find success with another quarterback? I don't know. But when you're tied to a guy, like it's hard for a team to like now look at you and look at you and be like, man, you're supposed to be responsible for his development and it's not working. So I think Andy Dalton was promised something by Dennis Allen, but Jameis Winston is clearly the better choice at quarterback. Man, I mentioned that on the last show. Like I said, I don't think they promised him the starting job, but I think they promised him if things go awry, we're gonna be looking at you and we're gonna give you an opportunity. That's how I feel about it. Like I feel like that's probably was the plan all along. I feel like Jameis Winston was on an extremely short leash. I think that they wanted Andy Dalton a little bit more than Jameis Winston the entire time. And any way that they can get him off the field, they'll take it. Like it don't matter if he was injured. Like, okay, he injured, but he wasn't making the right decision with the football. I'll take it. Our season over, mine as well. Give Jameis some play time. I think they're gonna end up getting him some play time. I think they will. When? I don't know. I'm not a fan of DA, but the man is saddled with bad quarterbacks and no cap room. Peyton ran from this situation for a reason. Peyton ran from this situation because, I don't understand why he would do that. He's responsible for the situation. So, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you cooking a dish and you're in the kitchen and the kitchen starts to burn and you leave the kitchen and the kitchen, it's on fire, right? You know what I'm saying? You're responsible for that. You know what I'm saying? Last time the kitchen was intact, you was in there cooking. Now it's destroyed because you was in there cooking, so how can you sit up there and be like, oh, he ran, he got out of here. Like, it's your fault. Like, that's what I don't understand when it comes to people. Like, this situation, how Sean Payton is absolved from this is absolutely amazing. This just falls at the feet of Mickey Loomis. Like, this is just ridiculous. Like, you can't talk about one without the other. You can't talk about one without the other. To me, I think that Sean Payton was just as instrumental at, making personnel changes and all that kind of stuff and bringing guys in as Mickey Loomis. I think it was a collaborative effort. So for anybody to sit up here and just say, oh, man, Sean Payton left because he realized what it was what it was because of you. It's just that simple. And as far as like not being, talking about with DA, look, man, all I know is this. Let's just keep it a buck. How many quarterback changes did the Carolina Panthers have? Like, let's just keep it real. Carolina fired their coach, the same coach that they had when they played the Saints against Dennis Allen, and they lost. They got Steve Wilks as the interim coach as of right now, and Steve Wilks has won more games with three quarterbacks than and we ain't about to sit up here and just make it seem like Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, and PJ Walker is just that much better than Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton. We ain't gonna play that game. We not. Steve Wilks has the Carolina Panthers looking better with less talent than the New Orleans Saints have. Okay, Foreman, the running back. Is Foreman a better running back than Alvin Kamara? No. I say DJ Moore at this particular stage is better than Chris Olave as a wide receiver. He's not where he needs to be, but I mean, you still have Jarvis Landry. I would say Jarvis Landry is better than DJ Moore. So it's not like I can accept that. Like, I just, like, to me, there are way too many doggone excuses when it comes to Dennis Allen for my liking. Like, like I said, I understand, some people like to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, some people are like, look, if I'm not talking about you, then can't get mad. But I think some people just try to build this dude up and try to, give him excuses because maybe it gets people coming back to their platform and hearing what they got to say about it. But this dude sucks as a head coach. Like, we find all these different they have all these injuries. I'm looking around the league. I'm seeing guys lose their quarterback, lose star players, and they team just ain't falling like this. But yet we sit up here and we just make the injury excuse for DA. Like we make he ain't got this, he ain't got that. Like, come on, man. How many coaches are behind the 8 ball every single year? I mean, John Harbaugh lost both his quarterbacks, and the Baltimore Ravens are still in playoff contention. So I don't understand it. I don't understand like how anybody just sitting up here just making excuses for Dennis Allen. Oh, he ain't got this, he ain't got this. Like, dude is not a good coach. He's not a good coach. And it's not like you haven't seen this dude when he had all hands on deck. They still lost. The same Matt Rule that I'm talking about, the Saints lost that game when they had all their players intact. They were playing, and they still got ran off the field and out coached by a guy that wasn't even that good. So that's the way I look at it, man. There's too many excuses made for Dennis Allen for my liking. Dude is just not good. Like, because if you're going to try to give Dennis Allen a pass and talking about all the things he's going through at the quarterback position, well, why is it that Steve Wilkes looking better than him and he's used 3 quarterbacks? He used P.J. Walker, he used Sam Darnold, and honestly, I'm going to say no. Matt Corral ended up getting hurt right before he actually became the coach. But you had three quarterbacks, and your team still have one of the best records when it comes to the division and have a chance to actually win the division. So man, they can miss me with that. And are you telling? I guess you're gonna be telling me, Steve Wilkes is just a better coach. And if Steve Wilkes is supposed to be pretty average at best as a coach, then what that say about Dennis Allen? I mean, we got to put this thing into perspective. So, dude is not very good. I don't care what anybody says. Like, people like making this, these injuries when it comes to Dennis Allen. I mean, he just been dealt a bad hand. Like, man, miss me with that. Like, if we was gonna play this, like, Dennis Allen knew what he had when he came in. Like, this was before Deshaun Watson in the first place. Y'all started talking about Deshaun Watson. So you automatically knew that Jameis Winston was on your roster along with Taysom Hill. So you already knew the quarterback position was kind of suspect, but you still felt like, I was the right man for the job. So I can't use that as an excuse. Like, if you was up for the coaching position, like, I don't know, who our quarterback gonna be, and they don't give you the quarterback that you want, but you knew what the quarterback situation was gonna be. So I can't give him a pass for that. If you knew that you weren't gonna be able to coach this, then that's your fault. So I can't use that as an excuse. And I'm definitely ain't about to use no injuries as no excuse too, especially when I'm seeing star players going down left and right and these teams still ain't faltering. What do you think about the new running back we picked up? Eno Benjamin. I think that he's a solid guy, came out of Arizona State. I watched him play in college for, a couple of years. I think he's a good change of pace back guy to catch the ball out of backfield. Got a little power to him, and I think we'll see. The Saints need to get young at the running back position. So if it pans out, maybe, he can be that guy that can be that opposite of Alvin Kamara. What do you already read that? Don't bring Sean back. He is a great coach, but too many times of rumors that he wants out. We don't hear that from Andy Reid or Bill Belichick. Well, I mean, that's just the way that it goes sometimes. Sometimes, guys do that stuff for leverage. Sometimes, they want, they want better situations. I mean, that's just the way that it goes, but I mean, I would take Sean Payton back. Like anybody that wouldn't take Sean Payton back over Dennis Allen, I have to say something is indeed wrong with that situation. But look, I'm not concerned about that. I'm not concerned about it. The Saints, they need somebody that's going to help them and lead them out of this situation. Now, I will say I agree with you if he's not focused on being here for the long haul to try to help, fix the team and take them into a different direction from years past, and then by all means, I feel like you should go. But if you are interested in trying to find the next franchise quarterback and helping this team win games and for the foreseeable future, bring him back by all means. Sorry there that you are insecure and being emotional in your feelings. I don't know what we're talking about there. Needs to figure out the quarterback situation in the all season. Absolutely. Daniel Thompson's dancing. TJ, I think the Panthers are going to keep the current coach and they will sign Jameis. I don't think they're going to sign Jameis. I think they're going to get themselves a young quarterback in the draft, to be honest with you. And they probably like a quarterback away, to be honest. They probably like a quarterback away and maybe another wide receiver away. You know, man, look, I ain't hating on Carolina. To me, Carolina has a brighter future right now than the Saints do. And if you don't want to believe that based on what you see right now, you just too much of a Saints fan to realize that. The Saints going to have to figure this thing out because I'm telling you, the direction that Carolina is going in, they're on the uptick. And you look at teams like Tampa and New Orleans, they're on a downtick, man, because for 3 or 4 years, these teams have put it all on the line. And you know, these guys are starting to get old, and they got to find ways to kind of revise that. When it comes to Carolina, they've been building this team for the last 2 to 3 years with young players in the draft. And, you know, now it's starting to pay dividends. So the Saints better figure it out, or Carolina going to be running this division for a few years. I think that if he does good, why hasn't we ran the ball all season? We are one-dimensional offense, 80% pass, 20% rush and screen. Nah, we ain't running no screens, bro. I don't know if you've seen the numbers. It's pretty bad. It's probably less than 20%. Probably less than 20% with the screens. If Eno does good, we will look good in those losses. Well, yeah. I mean, I think that, you know, he'll probably be able to bring something to the table, but I don't know what, because quite frankly, they haven't really looked that good running the ball lately. Jameis is under contract for next year. He gets cut. He still gets paid by the Saints. Yeah, but I mean, it's not by much because they gave him a majority of that contract up front. So it's no harm, no foul in that regard. I doubt Dalton back next year. I feel like Dalton would be back before Jameis would if Dennis Allen was the coach. Y'all really on this why Jameis ain't playing train, falling on deaf ears. I think that people just want to see Jameis play. You know, I don't have a problem with that, but I just think that 4 games left, they still rolling with Andy. You know, I think it's pretty much a foregone conclusion, man. That's who they want. They don't want Jameis. They want Andy Dalton. Will you resign Eric McCoy, who is set to become an unrestricted free agent? Nah, Eric McCoy not an unrestricted free agent. Eric McCoy already got his contract. He got it at the beginning of the season. He already got a contract extension. Unless you restrict him and franchise him. If not, he can come over to Atlanta, play for us, and collect. Yeah, they already gave him a contract extension, man. And play next to Chris Lindstrom, the best right guard in football. Yeah, it's not happening, bro. They already didn't sign my boy. He already got his extension. Yeah, he got an extension after the C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade. Yep. Yeah, he already got his deal, man. Debo, just like your squad signed some of our leftovers running back, Devontae Freeman and Desmond Trufant. That is true. I mean, they got Tyler Davison. I mean, even Curtis Lofton. Like, we got Curtis Lofton back in the day, right? I mean, they got Joe Horn. I mean, Bobby Abel. I mean, there's been, you know, in years past, there's been times where, we pilfered from them and they pilfered from us. So, I mean, they got the assistant GM that's now their GM and Terry Fontenot. I mean, it just happens, man. I mean, when you have opportunity to see the coaching and see the players twice a year, I mean, you kind of familiar with the guy. Just like, Carolina when they got Roman Harper and we ended up getting on Coleman, so, I mean, it just happens, man. When you see these guys quite often, of course, teams are going to be using so it's, they're gonna be using like players, from other teams and stuff like that. If you familiar with the guys, see, Jameis Winston or Jerry Winston. I mean Jerry Lewis. I never wanted Dalton to start, but as trash as Jameis played, he pretty much gave his job away. I never wished that this 2022 team to have Dalton starting, but Jameis Winston always hurt. I just think that Debo, I just feel like if you are not taking into account that the dude was injured, and and it affected his play. Like I feel like this. If you are looking at Jameis Winston and just saying, okay, man, look how he played in these 2 games. He ain't no good. I just feel like, man, that's what you always felt. Like you always felt like this dude wasn't gonna pan out. And I it's hard for me to take that thoughts and views serious, because I just think that you kind of are doing what I'm saying that the Saints coaching staff did. Like the first line of trouble or the first mistakes that he made to justify your feelings, like you willing to accept that. You willing to get it any way it goes. Like this dude didn't have an opportunity to kind of resurrect himself. He didn't have an opportunity like to, play out of his bad circumstance. Like with Andy Dalton, like we can talk about, man, Andy Dalton, he played pretty well against Tampa. A week before that with San Francisco, he made some good passes. He had opportunity to play out of those back-to-back interception games and some of those interception games and some of those choke games where he could have played better. So he's able to get better down the stretch. The last memory that you have of Jameis Winston is a bad game, and he was injured. And he went into that game and he played. But, of course, we don't have enough tape this year in order for him to be able to correct the mistakes for us to really draw a full conclusion based on that. Because the dude played really well before he got injured last season, but nobody's really taking that into account. But you're going to bring up games this season to justify what you probably already felt the whole entire time. Now, if Jameis Winston got hurt, played, got healthy, came back and was playing like slaw, then I feel like you would be justified in your argument. But to say this dude was injured, everybody know he was injured, it was affecting his, his ability to be effective as a quarterback. I don't care because, like he sucks anyway. Like I don't get that. Like that, to me, that just feels like you just got a personal vendetta against the dude. Like if he would have came back and he was playing bad, then I feel like it'd be justified. But the fact that the dude was hurt, he got himself better to a point where he can actually play, and maybe be a little bit more effective, and they ain't giving him that opportunity. I feel like it's totally unfair for us to just sit up here and criticize the dude when he didn't have a choice to come back. It's not like the New Orleans Saints gave this guy opportunity to resurrect a bad performance like they've been doing with Andy Dalton. You basically saying Andy Dalton is better because Andy Dalton has gotten opportunities to play well enough to, say, okay, man, he had these bad games right here, but he did this okay, but Jameis didn't have that. So anybody that wants to justify his bad play, they're going to say, well, look what he did against Carolina. Look what he did against, Tampa. But, if we want to talk about that, I mean, we seen Andy Dalton have back-to-back bad games, but he was able to play his way out of that. He was able to develop chemistry and build camaraderie with these receivers. And, he started making better throws, and he's starting to play better. So who's to say that wouldn't happen with Jameis? Well, we don't know. But, of course, some of us don't want to know because that justifies our argument about him not being good because we can go back to the last game that he played. All I'm saying is, if you haven't given this guy opportunity to play his way out of the situation and get better, and I can comfortably say this, at the beginning of the season, you had quarterbacks that are playing on a high level right now, even they struggled. They were able to build up a better resume later on in the season as the reps start to grow and the chemistry between them and their receivers and them and their running backs start to grow. So I don't know. Who knows what this season would have been? I can't say that. Like you can make an assumption based on your thoughts and your views about Jameis Winston as a player, but we've seen before like guys who struggled on other teams come back and play better. I'm pretty sure people didn't think that Matthew Stafford had what it took to take the Rams to the Super Bowl, right? But he did. I'm just being honest. Both Jameis and Dalton, not it. We need to see about a quarterback in second round, maybe Tennessee quarterback falls. Look, I look, this argument and this take that I have right now has absolutely nothing to do with what I feel the New Orleans Saints are going to do in the offseason. It has absolutely nothing to do with it because me personally, I feel that they are probably going to go in a different direction from both of these guys. But I'm just saying right now, I just feel like from this particular standpoint, the 2022 season standpoint, I just feel like, it's totally unfair. I know why Jameis ain't playing. So do you. We need to find our head coach and quarterback who can take us to the promised land, just like Joshua did with the Israelites. Oh man, yeah. Need to find out Joshua. Let's see. Jameis not playing because he's not good, just a reliable backup. No, I don't think he's not playing because he's good. He's not good. I think he's not playing because he is not what the New Orleans Saints offensive staff is used to. Like I think that he's further away from being a Drew Brees type than Andy Dalton is. I think that Andy Dalton is started because he's a much easier read than Jameis Winston. And you know what I'm saying? It's pretty much like I feel like this. It's like if you're in college, right? And you know, you got two type of tests, right? I'm pretty sure everybody know this. You got the open book and then you got the closed book. You know, a teacher yells out, okay, man, I'm gonna give y'all a little pop quiz. What y'all want, open book or closed book? Who gonna say, man, I want the book closed? Who gonna say that? No, I want the book open, okay? I want to be able to, you know, okay, you ask me number one, I want to be able to find it in this book. You know, I feel like Andy Dalton is the open book test. Like he's familiar. He can be what they want him to be. And I just think that when it comes to Jameis, I think it takes them burning a little bit more of the midnight oil to make him work. And also, I just feel like, you know, Jameis Winston honestly was on the team for the New Orleans Saints because they had somebody that had the confidence and the ability to kind of reel him in and help him see it. I don't think that they have a coach on his staff that can help this man see the field and hold him accountable for some of his decisions. Like we've seen some of Jameis Winston's decisions with Sean Payton. You know, you've seen Sean Payton give him that death stare when he coming off the field. We seen him, you know, being able to critically coach him and him getting better from week to week. And I just think that you need that. And I just think that the personalities of these coaches being laid back and, you know, conservative and stuff like that, and not really, you know, holding these dudes foot to the fire when they make mistakes. I just think that, you know, it's the reason why they're going with Andy Dalton. Like, I don't think Andy Dalton is just that much better than Jameis Winston. I just think that Andy Dalton is much easier read than Jameis Winston is. And I think they probably have to work a little bit harder if they wanted to keep Jameis Winston as the quarterback. Mark Ingram cost us both games versus Tampa. Dennis Allen is destroying AK's career. Jerry Lewis, true words. Saints and Chargers are the same team minus the quarterback. Good to great players, but coaching is holding them back with play calling and decisions. I agree. DA might have faith in Andy Dalton, but nobody believes in Dalton or Jameis as a quarterback one. Both can give you moments, but can't lead. I agree. At this point, I keep on saying this particular point, but I mean, I have no choice to. At this point, I mean, I don't think neither one of these guys are the answer. I don't think any coach, whether it's Sean Payton or Dennis Allen or somebody else, is going to come in and be like, man, I'm comfortable with Jameis Winston and Andy Dalton. I just think that the book is pretty much closed on both of these guys as Saints. The table was set for Jameis to rest 4 games and come back cooking, but no, he sucks. Wanted Dalton to take credit for making the playoffs. Well, they're not making the playoffs, so there you go. Yo, go clean the bottom of your feet. Know what we talking about here. Man, I've never been so emotionally unattached to a Saints team than this year. I pray we do not bring back DA. I can't name one good thing he's done this year. He can hold timeouts. That's a good thing. You know, he gonna hold timeouts. That's one thing I can't say about him. He gonna hold them to the end of the game. He ain't gonna even use them. I ask that you hit the like button if you have not already. Got 192 people watching this live right now as I speak. Says we need to start Barbara Williams at left guard and take Pete's spot. We got to put a big turkey on our offensive line to keep Winston safe and secure. I don't know if that's a compliment or insult. I don't know. I assume that's a compliment. You know, I assume that's a compliment. But just need to change the offense altogether. Need another route running receiver and gear the offense more towards Kamara's strength. Debo, I think you need to work on your flirt talk, my friend. I think you need to work on. Oh man, I would just leave it at that. I think every human being in here know why I say that. TJ, can you explain why scoring in the red zone is so hard? I noticed that the Saints got to the red zone easy but couldn't score. Brand, that's because of the condensity of the field. Like, like in the red zone, I mean, it's kind of condensed. So when you're like driving up the field, you can kind of, spread things out, but when it comes to the red zone, I mean, everything is kind of in short distance, like, saying like it's almost, phone boot tight, so that's the reason why it's kind of complicated, to score in the red zone as often as you should. Like, if you look at like Canadian football where well, I think the touchdown, like the end zone is like 20 yards longer or something like that. I mean, you're able to kind of, make plays and stuff like that because, I mean, it's still the field is still spread out. Well, when you start, the closer you get to the red zone, like, the like I said, the packages and the formations, they become a little bit more tighter. So it's complicated. It's complicated, man. Guys can, you think about this: if first and goal on a 5-yard line, I mean, guys can push and shove you, like even in the end zone, right? So, so it's, it can come like very compacted, and it can make things complicated to, score in that area. That's pretty much it. Need to do something at offensive coordinator next season. Yes, ma'am. I got faith in you. Let's see. It's a dig. First quarterback in NFL history to have consecutive 4,000-yard seasons to start their career is Jameis Winston. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. I mean, but some people would say, what did it get them? Like, where the playoff wins at? You know what I'm saying? Like, where the winning seasons at? That's what they would say. Like I say, when it comes, like, I like Jameis Winston as well as the next man, but we gotta keep this thing a buck. Like, we talking about stats, but this guy hasn't led a team to the playoffs, hasn't had a winning season as a quarterback. If he did, I don't remember. I mean, it's about what have you done for me lately. And you can talk about analytics and red zone and third downs and all that kind of stuff, but if it's not equating to success, people are not going to be able to hear you. And you can talk about how great of a quarterback he is, but I mean, a lot of people are not going to feel that way. So I mean, look, as much as I like Jameis, he leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, you gotta show something. You gotta be able to put it all together. And there's only so many times people are gonna be sitting up here and listening, to these excuses. Well, if he didn't get hurt, well, if his offensive line was blocking, well, if he had a running game. I mean, at this particular point, it sounds like Jameis Winston needs perfect conditions to be successful. When we all know that quarterbacks don't have perfect situations. Sometimes they're not going to have the best receivers. Drew Brees didn't have the best receivers. Like Marcus Colston wasn't a household name. Lance Moore wasn't a household name. Robert Meacham wasn't a household name. They were just some guys that had a certain skill set, and Drew Brees brought the best out of them. And it equated to success and wins. So we can talk about analytics and numbers and points and all that kind of stuff there, but at the end of the day, it's about winning. It's about taking your team to the promised land. It's about making the playoffs. All that stuff like that, like that's fine. Great analytics, but where's the success? Where's the winning? Where's the wins at? I'm just saying, like, same thing with Andy Dalton. Like, people talking about, oh, he good at third down conversion rate. Okay, yeah. Well, where the winning at? Where the wins at? Right? What the numbers? I mean, where the number that matter at, which is the Saints having more points than their opponent. So like I said, until that actually happens, people gonna always be critical of Jameis Winston. It was an insult against Barber, TJ, shaking my head when someone hits below the belt should not be tolerated. Oh, it was an insult. Okay, man. I thought maybe he was just trying to, run a little game or something like that as a joke. I mean, as I thought he was running some game. I didn't think that. I hope that it wasn't serious. I hope not. Because I said, if it is, he needs to work on his game, man. You don't compare a beautiful woman to an offensive lineman now. Let's work on your game. Jerry Lewis needs to be Jameis Winston agent because he been on his knees for broke back Jameis for too long. Look, man, look, Jerry likes what he likes. You know, he likes Jameis Winston. There ain't nothing wrong with it. You know, they're going to blame everyone else for Jameis not making the playoffs on playoff wins. TJ. Yeah, I mean, all I'm saying is, you know, it just sounds like a bunch of excuses. Fair, unfair. Like, you know, like I said, I like Jameis. I like his energy. I think that he means well. I think that he's a positive person. I want to see him succeed as a quarterback, but we got to put this thing into perspective. When people start talking about him, they start talking about analytics, and that's fine. Like I said, analytics is good, but it don't always tell the whole story. You know, I mean, he threw for 5,000 yards. Yeah, he threw for 5,000 yards. So did Dak Prescott. They didn't make the playoffs. Drew Brees threw for 5,000 yards one year. Well, a couple years, and they didn't make the playoffs. That don't always tell the story. You know, like people care about winning, right? People care about you leading to the playoffs, being in an MVP conversation, right? But when you start talking about, oh, man, you know, he would have been MVP if he had this. He would have had less interceptions if the guys didn't run the wrong routes. Like, all that stuff like that, like, no quarterback has the perfect situation. Some quarterbacks have, like, really good, talented guys, but they all probably have a questionable offensive line. Probably have a really good offensive line, but don't have the right wide receivers to catch the ball. Might not have a good running game. You know, like, all quarterbacks are going through some things, but if you're great and then you're really good, you're going to be able to overcome those type of situations. So if you continue to start bringing up he didn't have this, he didn't have that, then people just gonna tune out. I mean, gonna tune out. Like, man, like, this dude need the perfect situation. He need offensive linemen, all 99s, running back, all 99, wide receiver. Like, you got to be able to play, man. You got to be able to sustain success in order for people to respect you as a quarterback. Come on, you can't compare Winston to Drew. You said plenty of time Drew Brees don't grow on trees. Can't expect Winston to be like Drew. Who said that? Who said that? I said that? I said that he need to be Drew Brees? Or you just insinuated that I said that he need to be Drew Brees? I mean, did I say that? Man, maybe I need to rewind the tape because I didn't remember comparing him to anybody. All I'm saying is when it comes to, like, certain situations, you know, like, quarterbacks, if you're good enough, you're going to be able to rise above your circumstance. You may have heard me say Drew Brees, but all I'm saying is the fact that Drew Brees is a quarterback that can make players better around him, and they were able to make the playoffs in the process. This could be anybody. I mean, this can be any quarterback that you have out here. If you're as good and you're giving me analytics and you're giving me, you know, all these different red zone numbers and all this kind of stuff like that, it would equate to some level of success is what I'm saying. I'll just use Drew Brees as an example because when you're talking about quarterbacks and justifying them as good quarterbacks, then they should be able to elevate the people around them to get to where they need to be is what I'm saying. So it doesn't matter if you have like questionable offensive line or you have like mediocre wide receivers, you know, you got to be able to get the best out of these guys. And we've seen, you know, quarterbacks like Drew, we've seen quarterbacks like Mahomes, or even, you know what I'm saying, to a lesser extent, we've seen guys like Kirk Cousins, you know, take, you know, say mediocre. I'm talking about when he was in Washington. Wasn't the best lineup at wide receiver, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, he finessed his way to Minnesota in the process by playing pretty decent. So you got to be able to do that. So that's what I'm saying. I'm in no way comparing him to Drew Brees. I'm just saying when you're a quarterback and you're supposed to be that guy or that dude, like there should be like some remnants of you know what I'm saying, you taking over a game, leading the team to where it needs to be. And it is not going to just be perfect circumstances. You know, like you're going to have to overcome some level of adversity, especially if you're that guy. Because if you're that guy, then more than likely you're taking up the majority of the salary cap. So some of the things that your team may be limited in is because you're making a majority of the money. Damn, my question keep getting skipped. Sorry. You can put it down at the bottom. If you want to answer it, ask it again. It was hard for Jameis because he was in the division with Drew, Matt Ryan, and Cam Newton, all which were better than Tampa Bay. I mean, that could be, but that's still not an excuse. If you're good, you're good. Like that's just a fact. Bottom line is DA is riding with a 35-year-old backup quarterback and a play caller that didn't want the job in the first place. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much sums it up. I actually would like to see Penning start at left tackle. Run game might pick up. He can be serving out hot pancakes, pass protection, such though. So I feel like I asked a question about him moving to left guard and maybe getting rid of Pete and maybe getting somebody else to play left tackle. And have him maybe like alternate, like kind of how Andrews Pete did. Andrews Pete at one time was playing left tackle, then they moved him to the inside at guard. And then when guys get hurt, he'll move back out to left tackle. So Jerry Lewis, we all played football and basketball and kicked it, actually laughing my behind off. I was 6'1" in high school. Ain't nobody put me in a locker. I was too big. Let's see. Jerry Lewis, I wonder how Debo the God ex-girlfriends would critique him. I think his game needs some work. So basically when Jameis starts and we lose, it's because of Jameis. But when we lose with Dalton at quarterback, it's because of coaching. Nah. I mean, nah. I don't get it. I don't understand what I'm saying. I don't get it. Starts. Let me see. So basically, when Jameis starts and we lose, it's because of Jameis. Not saying it's because of Jameis. Dalton loses with a quarterback is the coaching. Nah, I ain't say that. It's not what I'm saying at all. All I'm saying is if we still sitting up here talking about how good this dude can actually be and he 8 years into his career, then, I mean, enough said. Enough said. Like, I mean, I'm just telling, like, I'm not giving you my thoughts and views on who he is as a person. Like I said, I like him, but I'm just saying, man, this dude has been in the league like 8 years, and we still sitting up here trying to justify this dude as a great quarterback. I mean, you can have all the talent in the world, you can possess all these great abilities, man, but time is running out. Like, and it's not going to be too many opportunities this dude is going to get, at being a franchise quarterback and not going to have a short leash. That, I mean, it is what it is. Like, we going to be like, what we going to be like 10, 12 years into the career talking about what would have been? Like, it's time. The time is now. The time is now. Like, and if he can't get it, it seems like it's not going to work in New Orleans. But if he can't find somewhere else next year, and let's just say if he goes to another team and we're in the same situation, then what are we going to say now? What are we going to say? Well, that team don't like him either. That team didn't like. All I'm saying is the more these situations arrive, the more they're starting to look like excuses. And like I said, this guy's been in the NFL for like 8 seasons. So time is running out. So this potential and everything that everybody know that he has, it's time for him to put it all together. Or it's just going to be, one of them Marcus Dupree type stories, the best that never was. I'm going to say it again, moral of the story, Saints lost to the Panthers and Matt Rule got fired the following week. Where Jamal Brown, man, left tackle us, please. Like, we good on that. No, sir. You have a bunch of Jamal Browns on the team right now. If I see another game with Jameis Hurt start left tackle, I'm gonna cry sad tears. Let me see. Jay Wall, we'd be leading the division if Jameis was starting. I mean, could be not. Somebody said this is too much. I guess y'all got the chat popping right now. That's a division opponent, though. Anybody can win a division game. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, ain't about jack. And Dalton been in the league for what, 14? Yeah, he been in the league about 12 years. Him, Mark Ingram, Cameron Jordan all was in the same draft. No NFL coach or GM gonna give pity points to a 28-year-old Jameis Winston. Y'all get them likes up. I agree, man. Look, all I'm saying is time is running out. Like, all this stuff about I'm defending Jameis and if he had this, if he had that, like, Guy's 28 years old. He's been in the league 8 seasons, man. I'm just saying it's time to put this thing together. And there's only so many times where, you know, oh man, if they had did this, if they had this, if it wasn't for the white man, and like, bro, I'm just saying, like, when you start going to like different teams, like who is going to give this dude the opportunity? And if it does not pan out, let's just say he goes to another team and he don't get the starting job. He loses out to another guy. Then what are we going to be talking about? We signed so many replacement running backs this year. It's crazy. Yeah, it's been absolutely insane this season when it came to the running back position. But I know somebody mentioned Eric McCoy. Yeah, Eric McCoy did return to practice this week. He had a little light practice on yesterday. So it's good to see the big man back. I don't know if he's going to start this week. I mean, maybe indication since they released Andrews, the guy that's been replacing him over the last few weeks. So maybe Eric McCoy might end up playing in this game this Sunday versus the Atlanta Falcons. They definitely can use his services. And also P. Warner, who actually started practicing right before the bye week. So he might get some action, might be a few snaps, you know, to get him back into the game. So that's good, man. The Saints are getting these guys back. Wish they would have came back a little bit earlier. But unfortunately, that's just the way that the season has went. But we'll see how these guys are going to pan out. It's good to see that those guys are coming back to practice and still want to play, you know, even though the playoff chances of the New Orleans Saints are looking about as bleak as Memphis. But we'll see. Yes, TJ, the time is now. Start Jameis. But honestly, what would that do? What would that do at this particular point? I mean, I want to see him start. Like, seriously, I want to see him start. But I don't know, man. I just think that it's not happening, man. I just like I can't see a world where he and Dennis Allen on the Saints next year. Jameis rolls the dice playing that Tampa game. Simple as that. Yeah, you know. I wish that he said that he wished he didn't play. I wish he didn't, because if he didn't play, then DA wouldn't have had a choice, even if they felt like Andy Dalton was their choice the entire time. They couldn't just slide with the fact that, oh, you know what I'm saying, we're going to roll with Andy Dalton, because everybody in the fan base, for the most part, are going to be like, man, you seen Jameis facilitate that full quarter comeback, but now, you know, those 2 games that he played, he didn't play his best. So now people are like, you know, we could go back to him, but I don't know, man. The last time we saw him, he didn't play that well. So it wasn't the best decision, because if he wouldn't have played, then DA would have been pretty much, he wouldn't have had much of a choice but to bring Jameis Winston back. Wouldn't have had a choice. You need some young in your life. Let me see. You can put the I don't know, man. What are we talking about here? What are you talking about? All I know is I don't know if we insult one another or whatever like that, man. But look, we don't need this type of energy, man. We don't need this type of energy here. I'm asking that, you know, everybody be respectful for one another, or, you know, let's find somewhere else to be, because I mean that's just not right. So let's leave this stuff alone, man. We talking about Saints football, and we're here to uplift each other and be positive and bring positive energy to each other. If you're not doing that, then, you know, I'd rather us not be here. I mean, it's not the place for that. TJ helping me get through the work day. Jerry Lewis, let it go. Man, I hope they move on from DA and Carmichael. One offensive-minded coach. I think we all do. Well, some of us do. We need to forget about Jameis. The season is over, and if Allen returns, Jameis won't. What happened to David Johnson? They signed him to the active roster, so you know, he's still on a team. So yeah, he more than likely probably gonna play Sunday. Is everyone safe from the tornado outbreak down there? Yeah, I hope everybody's okay. I know they had the tornado warning, and hope everybody's safe out there. TJ and y'all helping me through this season. Well, I'm glad to hear that. You know, and one thing that I'm glad is, like, we have a safe space like this, man. I'm like, I just want us to uplift one another. That's all I want. I don't want like none of this negative energy. I don't care if we disagree with each other or not, but name calling and saying my opinion, this and that, and you crazy. Like, this not the place for that. It's not. Like we created a very positive community for the most part, and I like to keep it that way. Let's keep the name calling and the know what you're talking about type stuff to yourself. We can find better ways to communicate with each other than resorting to insults. We need another running back in the off season. I agree with that. I agree with that. Hey, speaking of, I gotta mention this. I'm going to be on NFC South versus NFL tonight, 8:30 Eastern time. Gonna be talking about the state of the NFC South, and of course, y'all know I'm on there with DJ and Mike. We're talking about the NFC South. So if you're not doing anything, subscribe to the NFC South versus the NFL. Check it out tonight at 8:30. Would love to see some of you all in the chat representing for the Who Dat Nation. Shouts out to people that has joined in the past. But if you're not doing anything, come on over. You can go to youtube.com, search NFC South versus the NFL. So I'll be on there tonight. I'm going to read a few more, then we'll get up out of here. Kamara fumbled. That's the defender scooping up and score, and Lutz missed 2 field goals is what cost us the Carolina game. Kamara is the best player on the Saints. He ain't playing like it this year. I apologize, TJ. When I see people taking shots, I shoot too. Well, at the end of the day, like, man, that's what I don't want. I don't want any of that energy up in here, like, because ain't no place for it. Ain't no play for it, man. Life already complicated enough. You know what I'm saying? You go through life and life gives you difficulties. Like, why bring that type of energy up in here? Like, it's positive, and we have a positive show here. We have a positive show here, folks. Ain't no need for us to be sitting up here talking about each other like this, and saying negative things. Like, let's just be positive. I'm not saying who started what, or who said what. I'm just saying, like, we just need to have more positive energy. This ain't, man. I don't like deleting people for their opinions and views, but I don't want it to be that way. But I would love for people to have a level of respect. They're just not the platform or the place that we want to have here. I understand, like, some shows may have platforms like that, but I don't want that here. I don't want that. Remember when the South was the toughest division? Now it's the worst. Yeah, it definitely is. Who Dat Nation turning on itself here in the chat. Dang, I blame Dennis. Fire DA. Why the hell the Wade, the center who's backing up McCoy? He's a solid. Yeah, solid at what? What did he actually do? I mean, he was out there. He got us losing it. Yeah. I apologize to the chat too. Look, I mean, it's no need to apologize for in anything. I just want us to be able to get along, and if we disagree, it's fine. I mean, that's what makes us special. Like, we all have different opinions and views about life and the way that we see it. But, we got ways that we can give our points of view without having to resort to name calling or making people feel bad or down about themselves, or there's no need for that. Right. The NFC East gave us their NFC least spot. Yeah, we terrible. We terrible. But my final thoughts, going back to the Drew Brees topic, I think it would be great that Drew Brees is coaching. Hopefully this can give him an opportunity to maybe coach in the future, develop his resume as a coach, and maybe, find himself on a roster, as a coach somewhere, so I think that he'll like it. I think that it'll be a good spot for him. And, if he ends up liking it, I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints bring him in some capacity in 2023. Rather, it's like a, assistant quarterbacks coach or assistant offensive coordinator or something like that. But, if Drew Brees can get it together and have success at coaching or want to do it, then, he can be a really good, a really good coach. I think his personality, you don't need to be like, fire and brimstone as a coach. I mean, you can be a teacher type, and I think that he will find success in that if he continues to do that. Drew Brees is a smart guy. He knows football, and he may be one of those guys that may find success as a coach. But I want to say thank you all for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it. Please subscribe to the channel, youtube.com, search the State of the Saints podcast. Previous episodes available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Anchor FM. And you can follow me on Twitter at TJAY Jones 8. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?